Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. And today we're going to be talking about something I've been getting a question about a lot, both on Gilded and emails, and comments below videos. I want to say it's come up a few times in live stream as well. And honestly, it's a fun topic. So what is that? That's art magic. Can you do magic through art? Yes, the answer very simply, first off, is yes, you can. In fact, if you look, sigil magic is essentially a form of art magic. You're taking your creativity. You are creating a sigil in order to apply it to a spell working or a ritual work of some kind. That is one of the barest, simplest forms of art magic. Now, naturally, when people ask me about art magic, they're usually meaning something more like actual sketches or paintings or sculptures and stuff like that. Can these things be utilized in art magic beyond sigil magic? Absolutely. Absolutely, they can. Now, some of the mindset will shift a little bit depending on what you want to do with your art. And we're going to get into some of those details. So, first off, let's say you're doing painting. Okay, I actually know a few people who love to paint. I actually have a few bits of art here in the house that they're currently not unpacked, sadly, that were gifts from a friend who they have a lot of the original piece, which we don't have the original, fortunately. We just have a print. Had a lot of energy to it, had a lot of purpose to it. And even was, though I don't think they realized it was a ritual piece, and they did use it as such. So you can even give art to people if need be. Now, here's the kicker. We've said if you make a spell candle or something, the energy fades from it slowly if it goes unused, as it does its job. That is true. Same thing with art. So if you're making a painting or a portrait or something for a spell work and you utilize it and you hang it in your house, it's going to draw that to you. Whatever it is you're making, it's going to draw that to you for a time until the energy dissipates out, or you recharge it, and you will need to recharge it the same way that you would recharge candles or other objects on an altar or whatnot. Now, if you create the art to, we talk about spell work bringing stuff to us or putting stuff out there. Putting stuff out there with art, it's going to fill the space it's in. So this is a great way to help set the theme of the room, if you will. You can actually set a room of happiness, joy, fellowship, those kinds of things with the artwork in the room. You can set the theme, the emotion in the room. You can also make a theme of safety, bedrooms, you can make them restful, those kind of, you can set the energy of the room using your art in this way. Again, that energy is going to bleed out, as we discussed, slowly but surely. I would say most art loses its strength within 1 to 3 months, give or take. I know people who do art as wards, and that's perfectly fine too. But again, it's going to bleed out energy. So we now know we can use the art to draw things to our home. We know that we can set the mood in our home using this art. What are the things we need to consider? Because so far, Drake, you're explaining spell work. I am. Here's what you need to consider. When we do a sigil magic or when we do a candle spell, we know that this item is going to be disposed of, okay? The candle's going to go bye-bye. You can definitely do your spell work, design your artwork, your painting, your sketch, your woodworking, whatever it is that you do, your sculpture, and you can destroy it and release the energy out there like you would a candle. You can do that. I hate this one personally. I'm sorry, I do. When it comes to art and stuff, I don't know if it's my generation or whatnot or how I was raised. I just don't like destroying stuff. I really don't in that context. A sigil on a piece of paper, it's different to me. It really is. There's a lot less work to it. But you can do it. And especially if you're someone who does art all the time. I know people who can knock out absolutely gorgeous artwork in a day. That's a day worth, of work that they're putting into their art. And in that case, I could actually see, it's no different than me putting a day's worth of work into a spell or a ritual, and it's gone. I get that. Different means. I can't draw a stick figure. Let's just be honest, I can't. So that has to be taken into account. Now, to do art magic specifically, when you sit down with your ideal, some people will sit down with the image in mind. Some people will sit down and freehand it and let maybe they'll meditate with an entity, and them and the entity will design whatever abstract, or sometimes it's even a perfectly composed image of what the art piece is. But the whole time, the intent and purpose of the art, its goal, what it is seeking to do, what it's seeking to manifest, is focused on the whole time. That's what allows that energy to flow into it. That's what allows that energy to charge it. Some people will actually do sigils and whatnot. They'll create sigils, put that in the background of the art, and then they and work around that, or they'll even go over it. Like, I know this was really big with canvas, and not everybody uses canvas, but they'll put down that base layer and then put a foundation layer over that to flat color it, and then they'll paint on that. So there's infinite ways to do this. You just got to get creative. And the big thing is, the whole time you're working on it, you got to focus on the intent of the work you're doing to get that energy in there, just like you would any spell. Now you can work with an entity through meditation. You can activate their sigil and have that there while you're doing the art. Some people, if they're skilled in invocation, they will do channeling. Channeling is a form of invocation. People don't fool yourself. It is. So you will be spending that time channeling that entity or invoking that entity, and you and them will be working together on that art piece. All valid ways to do it. And once the art piece is done, depending on how you've designed it, did you put the energy in there to be released? Because if it needs to be released, now you got to destroy it. If it's designed to be a continual item that projects the spell work into the area or draws things to you, okay, you don't need to destroy it. You just need to hang it up, put it on a table, wherever it is you want to put it. You can even keep it in a folder. And it will do its job for a month to 3 months, unless you recharge it. And that's fine. And I'm a little paranoid right now, just so y'all know, because I've got a slight new setup, and I'm almost afraid my eyes drifting that way. I'm not liking it. I guess we'll check in editing. Anyway, if it is, I'm sorry. Now, once you have that done, and if you want to recharge it, you would recharge it the same way you do anything else. You would actually do a ritual. You would gather up energy, whether you use you cast a circle and use a ritual from your tradition just to raise energy, whether you want to use the Dragon's Flame ritual that is used in Dragon Magic and shared here on this channel, or whether you want to contact the original entity that you worked with to do a ritual to call them in to help recharge it. All these things are valid. Any form of energy work to push the intent and the energy back into it is fine, and it would recharge it. The kicker here is the recharge will actually burn out faster than the initial work, because the initial work had the energy plus the effort of creating. Those are two separate things, actually. So you need to start recharging every month after that first 3 months at least. That said, it is doable, and it's a great way to decorate your house. But if you like making art and art spell work becomes your main thing, recharging don't feel like art spell work, because you're just recharging something that's already created. And I get that. And for that, you're going to have to find a way to rotate these out. You may have to throw them away. You may keep the ones you like, but to keep the spell work going, you're going to have to create new things if you actually want to do that art side of it. Now, I know a lot of magicians who do art magic, and they will put all their spell workings in a sketchbook. Every page of that sketchbook is a different spell working, and that allows it to be very condensed down, and they can keep them. Now, some of these spell workings, not only do they work really well, but they also create a beautiful piece of art in which the magician truly can relate to, and it's something they know they want to keep, or they want to add it to an altar space. those kinds of things. And then they will take it from the sketchbook and do a secondary piece where it's larger and recreate it, basically starting the whole work over in the same method, just bigger and more permanent. And that's perfectly fine. And the sketchbook concept allows you to get anywhere from 200 to 300, depending on the size of the sketchbook, into one book that can easily slip in your bookcase or under your bed or whatnot. And I've also seen magicians give these, leave these sketchbooks to people when they pass, which is kind of cool. You can, so that's a concept. Then you have the art that goes on a ritual space. Okay, so we're not just using standard, spell work. We're not just doing this one thing. It's going to do this spell and it's done. These you don't have to continually recharge as long as you continually use that ritual space. Now, this is an area I have tinkered with in art magic, and I actually brought some things here. So like the earliest piece in my career, I could never find a pentacle for my altar that I originally liked. And it was just a pain to try and find one that was even remotely affordable. However, I did come across a sticker which I did actually slip into an envelope on one of my Book of Shadows. And I used that sticker as my template for what I'd be doing. Again, I can't draw a stick figure, so, there was tracing involved. And I created this right here. This is a little altar plate. It's one of those little balsa wood craft tile disky things that you can buy. And I was able to trace onto, it was tracing paper is what it was, over that actual sticker. And I was able to get this design. And I literally took a wood burner, had that taped down here, and I burned through this. Now, this was designed to be an altar tile. It was designed for ritual work and spell work and those things. And this was the mentality I was focused on the whole time I was working with this. And yes, I just burned straight through the paper on this. This right here stayed on my altar and was my main primary altar disc and surface. I would set my candles here, I'd set my spell work in here, I'd set my sigils here, everything, any statements or requests to deities, I'd set here. So every time I'm doing anything magical at my working space, this was what I was doing. And somebody out there is gonna be like, Drake, you said you don't have an altar no more. I don't. This is old, but this is a part of my craft. This is a part of my past. I love this thing. I still adore it. And I do still use it, actually. I actually keep it in my travel kit often because it's lightweight, it's small, and it's good working surface. So when I do set up a workspace or have a workspace, not an altar, I still use something like this. And this has been great. And you can feel the energy in it. I don't have to recharge it because it's constantly in that energy flow of my workspace. This is a representation of my work just as much as I am. Okay. Now, next question is, used to be. Yeah, used to be. The next one that I did, and this one was trying. This one took a lot of work. I know people who knock this out in a day. I know that, okay? Let's just be honest. But at the same time, this is me. I can't draw a stick figure. I apologize. And there was no stickers to trace. The Dragon's Eye Seal. After I had fully managed to channel the Dragon's Eye Seal, get all the information correct, get it confirmed from the dragons, I had to try and find a way to get this done. And at that point in my life, they weren't really letting me share it too many places, which meant my normal fallback of find a freaking artist wasn't a go-to. So this became a mass project in my personal path working to actually do. And I had to find a way to get the rings balanced as much as I could. I had to find a way to get the lines on there and everything put in there and sketched in there and burned onto here. Now, I did eventually use the same trick where I designed this on paper by hand and got this set up and positioned the way I wanted, then taped it down and burned through it again. Used the old wind burner trick, you know what I mean? But this took a lot of work, and the whole time for it, I was focused on the dragons. I was focused on my dragon magic path working. I was focused on working with them, my ritual, my magical path. And this became my main altar piece and remained as such. This is actually one of my main altar pieces that I keep. This, well, not even an altar piece. I use that word reflexively. It workplaces. So I have a few different workplace items like this. Some of you know that I had a friend that gifted me with a very professionally made one, actually, which is here in the office. Let me grab that real fast. We'll edit that out. Okay. Now here we go. This is the one that was gifted to me. Now, this is gorgeous. This was, I want to say laser etched is how they made it. And oh my God, I'm doing it again. This was laser etched. That's how they made it. And it looks gorgeous. And they put a beautiful ebony stain on it. Now, if I compare the two, there is a size difference. There's some line differences you'll see. You know, some of the lines are a little different and whatnot. That's okay. That's okay. But they work. This one has become one of my, I love things that are gifted from friends. So this one it's larger, it's heavier. This is the one I keep in my main work area today. Because there was some work that went into this and there was some thought into going into this and, you know, a gift. So I do use this one in my main workspace. This one I still keep though. I do occasionally work in spaces that are slightly smaller. So this smaller one actually fits the bill to do that perfectly. Okay. So this one I made, this one I did not, let's be clear. But those are examples of ritual work and art. You can do the same thing with a painting. A painting's a great way to do this. You can do a painting of the entity in which you want to set up an altar to if you want to do altars. Paintings are great ways to get imagery of a deity for your altar. I've seen so many people worried about how do I find this image? How do I find this image? Well, first off, you don't need an image. If you want an image and you're artistic, paint the image. It's that simple. Work with the entity to paint the image that is right for you and them. You don't necessarily need this special spiritual located image that comes from some nameless person or some author. You don't need those. And if you can't do images, you can do symbolisms. You can easily do shapes. I mean, one of the reasons, like, let's say you're working with Norse, you can actually just create a piece of artwork using the runes to spell out their name. That's an easy way to do it. Even I can draw runes. So there's plenty of ways to get creative. You could also create a landscape. You don't need the picture of the entity itself. You could paint a landscape that makes you think of this entity. You can get creative with it. You can even, maybe if you're a really good sculptor, let's say you're working with Odin or Freya, you could do a sculpture of a wolf, a raven, or a cat. Those are things that you could do if you're a good sculptor. So use your artistic skills. Use what you got as best as you can. Now, if it's in a ritual space, it's in a place that's constantly going to get charged with energy. It's constantly part of that energy, like on your workspace or altar. Those things will be charged anytime you're doing work at the altar. Okay. Now, if you do like to do spell work and you like to do the more release style, try to do it in a medium that you're okay burning. Like if I was to spend time doing a freaking canvas painting, I can tell you I'm not going to want to throw it away. I mean, this right here, let's be honest, this would burn. This would burn pretty well, but this took me a lot of time and effort to do. This was a project here. I don't want to get rid of this. So if I was doing a magical spell working or something with something like this, and I put that much time and effort into it, I'm not going to want to destroy it. So think about the medium, think about your skill as an artist, and consider your goals. Is this something you're going to keep permanently long-term and continue to recharge and hang up artistically to decorate your home? Or is this something that's going to go in your workspace, something that the workings you do naturally is going to naturally charge it with those energies? Or is this something you're going to create and then destroy to release the energy? The same questions that we ask ourselves during other workings, we need to ask ourselves within art. The key is that when we're creating the art, when we're making the art, the action is adding energy to the intent as well as the energy that our focus is adding to it. But we must remain focused on what the art is for. The focus of its goal is the spell itself. If all you do is paint the image, you didn't do anything. If all you're doing is painting the image without that focus, you're doing nothing but painting the image. And at which point, there's no difference in just going to buy an image and charging it and that. Okay, the two things would separate with that. It's what you're doing while you're creating the image that makes that difference. Okay. I know art is not my forte. And I do apologize, but this is a question I've been getting a lot. Though I know about how it functions and everything, I am no artist. I don't really have a bunch of art I can share and show you how I use it outside a few small examples that I have here. But for my artists out there, yes, definitely use your art, use your creativity out there to do it in any way you can. You can do it with sewing. You can actually definitely sew. I know an individual, she will actually sew sigils into different patches and stuff that she can tuck into her pocketbook. And she does the same thing for her husband. He can tuck it into his wallet. She's even made me a few so that I could tuck them into my hat band. Many of you know most of my hats have a band in them. So I was able to carry a spell working around with me at a point when she was worried. So there's lots of ways to use just almost any art form I can think of to do this. Even glass blowing. I actually know a glass blower who uses art magic during their process of crafting their usually vases or bowls or stuff like that. I don't really know all the term of glass blowing. I apologize. I know smiths who do the same thing. So just consider these and get creative. It's art, people. Be creative. Just remember, if it's not recharged, it's going to bleed energy, but there's nothing wrong with recharging it. You can constantly recharge it. In the case of like the vase that the glass blower makes, she actually recommends every time you change the water out in the flowers to refresh the energy, have the water itself refresh it if you happen to actually use it. If you don't happen to use it, focus on your intent and pushing energy into it anytime you dust it. Because as she said, everybody should be dusting once a week. And if you're constantly refreshing it once a week, you should be good. If you feel it needs the extra boost, take it to your workspace and give it a good charge. I hate to break it to her, I don't dust once a week, but you know, hey, she's a bit tidier person than I am. That's all good. But use your creativity, apply your creativity, whether it's a sketch, whether it's a painting, whether it's a sculpture, whether it's woodworking, wood burning, maybe you're a blacksmith, maybe you're a leather worker, maybe you sew for a hobby. There is a lot of ways that we can do this, even cooking. Let's be honest, kitchen witchery is a form of art magic. It really is. It's the same concept there. I hadn't thought about that. That would be my art magic, kitchen witchery. There we go. That's my artistic medium. Is food, mostly meats. But hey, that's a great way. Maybe you homebrew, your own ales or meads or wines. You could utilize that as well. So anything that you use to create any item that you would view or label as art, you can definitely do this with. And I do encourage people's creativity. I think it's amazing. I am thankful / blessed, however you want to say it, that there are a very, very large number of artistic people around the Working Dragon Mystic community. And many of you have shared your artwork with me. And y'all do a great job. You really do. And this would be a great format for you all to apply your craft for your spell working. And, well, since you're constantly doing spell workings and stuff, it's also a great way to practice and develop as an artist. Because if there's one thing I've been told over and over by a lot of my artist friends is, it just takes practice and work to develop and you'll get better. And they assure me if I would take the time and practice and work, I could draw a stick figure and even more. And they are probably right. But I don't have the patience, the focus, or drive to do that. My drive and my time is usually drawn to another area. So, do I wish I could draw better? Yes. Would I like to draw better? Yes. Is it something that interests me enough to take a large chunk of my time daily away from the other things I enjoy? Truth is, no, unfortunately. And that's why I'm not an artist, at least with a pen or a paintbrush or something like that. And that's why it's great to have so many different people in the world with different perspectives and different interests, because one person will perfect one thing while another person perfects another thing, and we all just share it together. All right. Anyways, for those of you who've been asking about art magic, I hope this rambling of a video has helped a little to explain it, to inspire you and encourage you to give it a try and see how it works in your personal practice and in your life. And to all those artists out there, I want to say very truly, thank you for the artwork that you do, the creations you do, and sharing it with people, because art speaks to us in a way that honestly words cannot. It does. I know it sounds cheesy as shit, but it is the truth. So keep doing what you're doing. All right. I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye-bye.